This hand was played like 1.5 months ago in
Okay.
TCH Dallas
TCH
2-5.
Dallas. TCH Dallas 2-5, match the stack, right?
Yep, and full ring, and Villain and myself sitting at 4.5k, and then we play a couple hands in 3 hours back and forth until this hand come up.
Okay. Is it straddles and stuff, or just
No.
really?
This hand no straddle, but straddle just on and off, on and off. But for
Okay.
this hand, no.
No.
But there are a couple deep stack on the table, so some of the sizes may be bigger than normal.
Yeah. Yeah, of course, right? Just with the stack. I mean, you see people might open to 30, 35, right? At straight 2-5 or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
pretty much
Yeah.
standard race, like 20 to 35, anywhere between those two numbers.
And I always talk about this too, just as an aside here, Jim, that this sometimes will drive the size of a game when people are talking about like bankroll considerations. When they ask me like how much of a bankroll do I need a certain game, and they're like 2-5, and they don't tell me the setup for the game, because you can take a look at that Hustler Casino Live show that I'm invited to, which I'll be there in August, right? Which is the 100 big blind ante 5-5 game, and for whatever reason, the open size is to 300, right? So it's going to play like a 5100 type of game. And you could play in a nitty Vegas 2-5 game where the open size is to 15 with even similar stack size. It's just going to play a lot smaller. Now, of course, what is the counter? The counter of when somebody is opening to 7 or 8x. This is why David Skolansky from 2+2, who wrote all the books, and before, give you a little poker history lesson here, Jim, before the moneymaker thing, no limit is a dead game, as Skolansky would say. No limit is always a game that's supposed to be played with antes. Now, if you notice the last couple of years of the World Series, there is no pre-ante levels anymore in the no limit tournament. But first of all, there's many games you can play no limit. I always talk about single draw deuce, the Cadillac of no limit. Every no limit game is supposed to be played with an ante, because there's no incentive to enter the pot. When you have guys who are dealing to, going to 7 or 8x, you have no incentive to call any of their raises whatsoever. You could just play 5% of your hands and print. Now, with that being said, though, at these stack depths, even though you will turn a profit playing 5% of your hands against 8x opens, I don't think that you will win as much by getting involved, just as a little aside. So, okay, 2-5, 4.5k effective, okay?
Yeah, the villain is a middle-aged, like, white gentleman.
Okay.
So, hero at low jack with 10-9 of spades,
Okay.
and I open to 30. As I said, 30 is pretty standard, even though it's a 2-5 game, pretty much it's a 2-5-10 sizing.
Yep.
So I
Yep.
open to 30,
Okay.
and then villain at the cutoff, three bet to 100. And this specific villain, he doesn't get out of line a lot,
Okay.
so he's pretty like solid and on the tight side. And he threw it back to 100 and then fold around to me, like sitting this dip. So I just call. I don't think like 4-bet is an option, so like folding seems like too nitty, but so I just called it.
I mean, folding does seem kind of nitty with a direct suited connector, 10-9 suited, which actually will play. I mean, this is a difference, right, between how the game has evolved. I mean, old school crush live poker, which you can still apply this concept of what I used to call like 15, 25, 35, usually having to do with single raise pots, where people would call with these hands for implied odds, and I sort of made up these numbers. Well, if you're going to set mine, you need to be 15 times as deep as the raise size. With a suited connector 25 times, with a gap suited connector 35 times. So, if you had to call 70 more with 10-9 suited, you'd have to be like, 17, what is 7 times 25, right? A 1750 deep, which you are, by the way. But as the game has evolved, we now look at more direct equity in our hand. But I will say that if he does really, really have like a super nitty sort of 3-betting range, then I'm talking about doesn't like find like the Broadway suited connector, I mean the Broadway 3-bets, you probably could fold 10-9 suited to just over 3x. But okay, so you go to 100, and you're also out of position too, right? So, yeah, so you
Out
go,
of position.
right. So he goes to 100 and you call.
Yes, I called,
Okay.
and pot was like 210,
Okay.
and then flop came out Queen of Diamond, Jack of Spade, Six of Diamond.
Queen of
Um,
diamonds, jack of spades, six of diamonds. So you've got the bottom end of an open-ended straight draw here in a three-bet pot, right?
yes, and a backdoor flush draw, I guess.
Yeah.
So um, I check pre-standard, and then he bet 100 into 210,
Okay.
and about the C bet. So from what I have seen, he pretty much C bet. His C bet frequency is very high. So every time he's the PFR, um, he C bets. So
Which actually is not that bad. Well, it's not that bad of a strategy if he's c-betting the right boards and he really is all that tight. Meaning, like,
mhm.
if he's playing a super tight range, then sure. Now,
Yeah,
if he's like starting to c-bet like 5, 6, 7 three ways all the time too, then it starts to get a little bit off. But the issue here, though, too, I mean, his sizing is a little bit in between theory, but when I take a look and I think that someone has a super strong three betting range, obviously the things that come out that hit me for his preflop range is aces, kings, ace, king, queens, jacks, whatever. He shouldn't be like folding like ace, king here to a check raise all that much. I don't think with like two overs and a nut Broadway, even if you're hoping for that. And then he's got aces, kings, queens, and jacks. So I would not be doing a lot of check raising on this board.
yeah, I thought about that, and I thought about if I check raise here, if I can make him fold like ace 10 off, or maybe like some ace 5 suited, ace 7 suited, something like that. But I thought about his three betting range, and I didn't do that. So I'm like, this board is kind of favor his range, so I just check call there.
So hero calls. Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, ace 10 off is starting to get a little bit wide there. Low jack versus cutoff, he's super solid. But okay, yeah. Now I mean, I would be doing a lot of calling here too. So 100 hero calls, pots 410. Okay, yeah.
yeah, 410, and then turn came king of heart.
Wow. Okay, so you make the second nuts, right?
Yes. And then I check, and still there's no point leading here. Um, so he c bets 325 into 410.
So he double barrels for 325.
Yes.
So
And go ahead.
cutoff makes it 325. Now this is one where it's actually kind of interesting because I don't know the answer. I'm just sort of thinking out loud. If you were to put this into a computer type of scenario, normally when an overcard comes that smacks the three betters range, yeah, you really aren't supposed to be leading a whole lot, right? Because you want the bluff equity if he has like ace 5, ace 7, something like that. With that being said, there's also textures of boards though in a three bet pot where you might be defending, where even if it is an overcard though, it might make you have some stronger hands than him, just because some straights and stuff come in. This probably isn't one of those though, because kings is probably more represented by him. Um, you both might have 9-10 suited, although you probably have it slightly more, and you both might have ace 10. So I would think that, yeah, you probably wouldn't lead this card. So he goes 325. Now this is interesting because you guys are deep, right?
Yeah. At that
So
point, it was 4.3K, something like that.
I mean, here's my thought here. For the propensity for live players, even if they're solid, to not fold hands, let's just say that the guy's not really three betting you with ace 10 off. Okay, now maybe we don't know that. I'm just saying that you said he was serious, or he was pretty, you know, didn't really get out of line too much. This is not like cutoff versus button or button versus small blind. So let's say he doesn't have ace 10 off here. So then he just has ace 10 suited, right, for the nuts that beat you. You have a 10 in your hand, right? So that only leaves three combos of ace 10 suited, right? And there's a lot of other stuff out here that I think that you can get value from: queens, jacks, kings. And I just wonder here, I mean, I know you're playing what looks like on paper almost 1,000 big blinds effective, but we just talked about this where it's really more like a 5-10 game. So, maybe 400 bigs effective. I know that's deep and can be intimidating, but I think that I go for stacks here. I got to be honest with you. The reason why I say that is because people might say, oh, that's unbalanced because, like, how can you, isn't he just going to value bet? Why don't you just go for a check raise on the river? Now, with that being said, yeah, that's valid, but I've just seen a lot of players check behind hands that they're supposed to value bet on the river. Now, you do also sort of block some of the scare cards that might come here too, but I think I might put some money in here. I got to be honest with you, from out of position.
Yeah, I thought about his range and then like all the sets, two pairs, and even flush draws. And I just check raise, and then if the river is a clean river, I probably just go with it if that's possible. And I check raise to 10-25.
So here goes to 10-25. I like it. I'm trying to think, if he calls now, the pot's gonna be 2,400, and you guys have put in like only 12, so you have 32. If I'm doing this right, so you're gonna you put in like 12, so you got 32, 33, and the pot's gonna be like maybe it's like 26. You're still left with like a pot and a half size bet left. I think I might go a little bit larger here to try to get some of the money in, but I do like the check raise though.
Yeah, and that's something I didn't calculate that accurately, so I just 3x it and then see if I can get a clean river, and then see the guy can fold a set of two pairs on the river.
So so cut off calls?
Yeah, he called.
So now we're looking at about, I'm going to just replay the hand for the podcast people. We're looking for at right around 2,050. We put in on the turn. We put in 200 on the flop, so 2,250, and then you put in 200 pre-flop. So it's right around 2,450 plus some dead money. It might be like right around 2,500 ish, and you guys have, like I said, about 3,200 left in your stack. Okay.
Yeah, and river is one of the cards that I didn't want to see. It's the Four of Diamond.
By the way, too, again, audio people, Queen of Diamonds, Jack of Spades, Six of Diamonds. Hero check calls with a 9-10 of spades from out of position in the 3-bet pot. Turns the King of Hearts. Hero check raises. Now, and check raises to 3x, cut off calls. Now the river rolls off the front door diamond here. The front door diamond. Yeah, that's a shitty card for you in the sense that he has to have some front door diamond draws. And also, like, you getting heroed now by something that's worse becomes less likely, I feel like.
And I played that in my head, and I thought about that. So if he has a set, or maybe King Queen with one diamond, King Jack with one diamond, if he ever has those hands, how much would he pay? And then I bet 1,200 into 2,460 or 2,500, something like that.
I'm trying to think. So you go 1,200 here.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking in my head, like, what am I continuing with if I'm your opponent to your check raise? Your check raise is super strong, right?
Yep.
And what bluffs could you have here? And like, God, because like you really shouldn't have an offsuited like hand here. So, like, what is a good bluff for you on the turn to follow through with on this front door diamond river? It's not going to be a diamond because it's impossible for you to have a diamond in your hand because you're not going to have an offsuited hand like a single diamond. So I would imagine that it's going to be hands that are comprised of hands that are going to comprise of 10x with a pair. Excuse me, you could have Jack 10 of diamonds here. Jack 10 of diamonds turns a mega combo draw. It's Queen of Diamonds, Jack of Spades, Six of Diamonds turns a King of Hearts, but that's only just one combo. So what am I calling your check raise with on the turn? I mean, it's going to be these got to be hands that I can improve to. It's not going to be like Ace King if I'm betting there, right? It's going to be sets. Am I calling your check raise with King Queen? it's going to be sets maybe specific to pair and front door diamond. So now the diamond comes, and now you go half pot, and I'm losing to ace 10 and 9-10 and diamonds. I don't know if I'm going to call you down here with a set or like a hand like king queen. So I think it might be a little bit sort of on the thin side. It might be a little bit overly optimistic here when you bet here on the front door diamond.
So what would you bet if you're trying to block there to try to get value from specifically a set or two pair? How big would you bet?
I don't. Well, you bet half the size of the pot. I mean, I guess you could block like. I mean, it's a situation where like a lot of guys can't pull. I mean, here's the thing: like he's always arriving here with something. So if he's not going to like pull the trigger and turn something that he deems to have massive showdown value into a bluff, like if you go 6 into 25 and he's got like kings or queens here, and he's not going to turn that into a bluff to get you off a 9-10, then that can have some merit. The other play in a very extreme situation is actually checking to check fold to large sizing, where sometimes you will check and it might go check, check, and you win. Sometimes you check and he maybe takes like tiny sizing and you call, and sometimes you check and he's just not really value. Because here's the thing, like if he has king, king here, if you put yourself in his spot and he has king, king, or queen, queen when he calls your check raise on the turn, you're representing a straight, right? So when the front door diamond comes in and you check the river, I would say the sets are going to check behind. So that's why that's an extreme scenario where I can even get on board with sometimes check folding this river. Because if all sets are going to check behind, then you're just left with a scenario where he just has a shit ton of value or he's finding some weird bluff and you can make a decision. Because I do think if I have king, king, queen, queen, jack, jack here and the hand goes down like this and you check to me on the river, I'm probably going to check it back. I don't know if I'm turning three kings into a bluff here. So, but okay, so you go to 1250. Hero bets 1250.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he just like ship it. He just like shove.
So he shoves for how much? So
32, 33, something like that.
33 total?
Yes.
So cutoff shoves for 30. I think it's 3,200. Let's call it 32. So the pot's like 37. It's like 7,000, like 2,000 for you to call.
Yeah, I'm getting like 3.1, 3.5 to 1, or maybe like between 3 to 3.5 to 1. And I did the math at that time, and then I'm like, what bluff combo can he have?
Yeah.
So like,
but it's not. But the other thing too is like it's not like you're blocking the river here. It's not like he's picking up on the fact that you're betting like 500 at the end, right? And you have a straight and you're scared of a flush. You bet 1250, right? So, I mean, the bluff combo would be like I'm trying to think like I mean, it would have to be a high diamond. So is he continuing with aces with the ace of diamonds? Ace king with the ace of diamonds to a check raise on turn? Could he? You said he was solid, so how can he have an offsuit king? I mean, I'm really going down the line here, like king 10 off with the king of diamonds, but like that's not really solid. You know what I'm saying, pre?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's hard to find there. I mean, but you are getting some pretty incredible pot odds, that's for sure.
Yeah, despite the pot odds.
People are saying ace with the ace of diamonds, aces with the ace of diamonds. Is ace with the ace of diamonds calling? I mean, I guess he did make it kind of small. Is aces with the ace of diamonds taking this line by going bet flop, bet turn, and calling a check raise on queen jack 6 king? I mean, it's possible, but I'm just saying I think it's a little bit optimistic. Same thing with ace king with the ace of diamonds here.
I thought about ace king with ace of diamond, or even like ace queen with the ace of diamond, just trying to bluff me off at the river when the diamond comes. But I thought about that he has to be very, very creative to do so. So I just like after like 1 or 2 minutes, I just like I cannot even find enough bluffs combo for me to make a profitable call. So I just like, yeah, you have this one.
Okay, so hero folds. And did you get a reveal?
Nope.
You never know.
No, I never know.
I think what was the deal with this guy? Like, what was his like demeanor? What's it like? You said was he an older guy, younger guy?
No, it's like a younger to mid age. So I'm not very good at like guessing people's age, but like maybe like 30s, like mid 30s, something like that.
Yeah, yeah. Interesting.
So yeah, he just like shake his head and then like never told me.
By the
But
way,
I
yeah.
don't think people bluff there enough.
Well, that's definitely an interesting one. I'm going to ask you just a wild question, and Todd, our editor, can cut this out. I feel like I had this because I've gotten to travel around the world quite a bit, and I've got this thing for sometimes picking up accents. I mean, obviously you have a Chinese name. Are you from Singapore?
No,
Damn.
I'm Chinese.
Oh, so much for that. All
Yeah,
right, Jim. Thanks for the call.
no
I thought
problem.
I heard like a little British educational thing, like in the back tones of his voice. Anyways, I digress.